Until noon, this is Neil Mitchell.
Okay, this is a different approach, and it's an approach which I think is well worth the attempt. It's a long weekend. Look, let's face it, many people are turning into a long weekend. Police are launching a road safety campaign, bit of a different twist this time though. Part of the campaign, as part of the face of the campaign, is a person who has in fact been to jail over drink driving and is now out to stand up and, well, warn you about it, I suppose. In the studio with me, Assistant Commissioner for Traffic, Bob Hill. Good morning.
Good morning, Neil.
And the person who's the face of this campaign, Amanda Pollard. Amanda, good morning to you.
Good morning, Neil.
Okay, how long did you spend in jail?
I spent 1 year. My aggregate sentence was 3.5 years, so 1 year custodial, meaning I had to stay inside the jail, and then 2.5 years remaining of parole.
Had you been to jail before?
Never. I'd never been in trouble with the Victoria Police. I was an upstanding professional businesswoman.
What was it like in jail?
It's not a very nice place at all. It was very daunting. The first 9 days I spent in solitary confinement.
What, by your choice?
No. Due to the there was not enough room in the prison. So 9 days I spent 24 hours a day locked up, essentially. So that was quite a 360 from where I was 24 hours prior.
How did you handle it? Not just the solitary confinement. How do you handle a year? I mean, I've visited jails. I walk out of there and I just breathe a sigh of relief. How did you handle it?
Neil, I kept myself as busy as possible, and that was by undertaking as many courses as I could. Whilst I was in there, I promised and vowed to myself that as soon as I was able to get out to the community, to educate others and to speak about it to others, that it can happen to you. And if you're one of those people that was like me, that thought that would never happen to anyone like me, I made a vow that I would certainly do that, and I've been doing that for the past 2 years. I've been working with 2 organisations, the Road Trauma Support Services Victoria and the Melton City Council. We're a panel of magistrates and police and so forth, speak to the community. A
pretty brave thing to put your face out there now. Why did you do it?
To help others.
Are you a bit intimidated by it? I mean, to have your face out in public. Here's a person who...
Yes.
Yeah.
I am, to be honest with you. I really am, because when my accident happened, I was named and shamed, rightfully so. You do the crime, you do the time. And if anyone thinks that, having a few drinks, you'll be okay, well, I'm here as a testament to educate others, to say it can happen to you.
So what happened?
Well,
You're a professional person, you said? Had your own business?
I was working as a business development manager,
yeah.
Managing 600 mortgage brokers, working for one of the leading financial institutions. I had just won a very prestigious award where I was going to go over to Las Vegas, out celebrating with colleagues in the city, and I decided to rather than utilise the taxi, I just wanted to get home, and I picked up the company vehicle that my employer had supplied to me, and I was driving home, and I got distracted by the radio and looked down, and in that moment I'd swerved and struck a stationary road worker vehicle on the side of the road. And unbeknown to me, until I went to the hospital as precautionary measures, obviously the police and ambulance attended, and unbeknown to me, I was that alcohol affected that when I was getting in the ambulance, I saw that the side of my car, one side was completely intact. It was a brand new car. The other side, you could see, and that's when it dawned on me the extent of what had happened, and that I had hit a stationary truck. At this point, I still didn't know that anyone had been injured until police attended the Royal Melbourne Hospital and told me that a road worker was struck, and he had sustained serious leg injuries. And that was, words can't really describe. Upon hearing those words, I just screamed and screamed, and it was just a nightmare.
Did you scream for yourself or the injured person?
The injured person.
How bad were their injuries?
Their legs. He's walking. It could have been a lot worse. I screamed for him. I could have killed him, absolutely, and I need to live with that.
Have you spoken to him?
I tried. I think initially I was advised not to contact. I wanted to send flowers, and I wrote a letter conveying, it was read out in court, conveying my, what do you say? I can only imagine. My mother was killed at the age of 7. I myself have been...
in a crash?
Yes, yeah. So you'd think I would have known better. She was on her way to work, and someone ran a red light and killed her. And so I'd already lost my father at 3. So, my mum was killed at the age of when I was 7, and I subsequently, caused a crash myself.
You don't want to talk about your reading. It was obviously very high, or you wouldn't have gone to jail.
It was high, that's right, yes.
And you were surprised. You just had a night out celebrating. You didn't feel drunk, or you had no idea you were drunk? Or you didn't think about it, do you think?
To be honest with you, I really didn't. The alcohol had impacted my decision-making process. Now, I'd never... Look, I could make excuses and say, I was going through a bad time with a breakup of my partnership. I was struggling as a single parent at that time. But at the end of the day... I've owned it from day one. I pled guilty from day one. Did I have any intention that night or any concept or any idea that I would maim or injure anyone? Absolutely not. I never ever thought that would happen to me, considering my upbringing and the tragedy that I've endured.
Were you a heavy drinker?
Look, I'd say at work functions and so forth, there would be, but obviously that, that night.
But you weren't an alcoholic?
No.
Do you still drink?
I do, but I will never ever. I'll always be 0. If I ever decide to go to a function, I'll be 0 for the rest of my life.
Bob Hill, what's the message? And it's a very brave thing that Amanda's doing. What's the message?
Well, the message from me, Neil, is if you plan to drink, plan not to drive, and it can happen to anyone. And people unfortunately make the wrong choices, and Amanda made the wrong choice in 2008, and she now lives with that bad decision she made. And she's very courageous, might I say, Neil, to share this story with the broader community. It's an
interesting thing, isn't it? Crooks go to jail. You've dealt with a lot of heavy crooks in heavy jobs, in armed robbery and the rest of it. I've dealt with crooks. Crooks go to jail. Amanda doesn't feel like a crook. But she is.
She certainly is. She's spent time in our prisons here in Victoria. A lady, a successful businesswoman, leading a very positive life, made the wrong choice, a fundamentally poor choice, and now found herself in jail for 12 months.
Does jail work, Amanda? So you obviously, from the moment you heard what you'd done, the remorse was there, the anger at yourself was there, the message was there. Did jail achieve anything for you?
For me personally, no. That's a consequence. You do the message has been out there long enough. So I certainly don't hold any angst towards the sentencing judge at all, because if you are going to engage in risky road behaviour, such as drink driving, texting, you will it's only a matter of time.
So it was punishment, not reform for you, really.
It was punishment. As I stated, it was very much an eye opener.
Did you lose your job?
Oh, of course. Yes, I had to resign. I lost. That's only one part of the ripple effect.
What else?
I lost my license. I lost my son. That's the most important thing. My son was my whole life, and I was his whole world. And he was 13 years of age when this happened, and I had limited family, obviously, as I explained. And my poor 13-year-old boy still has his whole world was taken, and a friend of mine, a best friend of mine, looked after my son for 3 months, but given she wasn't a parent herself, rang me one day in the prison to say she couldn't cope anymore. She just couldn't look after him.
You got him back?
Oh yes, absolutely. As soon as I was released, I went on home detention.
Has he forgiven you?
Yes, he has. He has. He in saying that, he's still impacted because he's not in any rush to get his licence, and he's been affected by that, by the incident, firsthand. Most kids would be itching to get their licence. He's not so keen at this point. He's my objective is for him to finish Year 12, and that's what he's doing at the moment. So I'm very, very fortunate that we've been able to maintain our bond, and but he's learnt firsthand the impact and the ramifications of engaging in that type of behaviour.
Well, look, thank you for coming in. I admire what you're doing. Not what you've done, but what you're doing. And Bob Hill, is this zero alcohol message the point? I mean, I was talking to a very senior police officer the other day who said, no, I won't even have one drink and drive. I know I'd be under the limit, but, how's it going to look if I do it? Is that the message, to be to keep yourself at zero rather than push the limit? Or not even push the limit, but even have a drink?
Well, it's certainly been my message since appointed to this role, Neil. As many senior officers in this organisation, we appreciate, the dangers of having one drink and that then impacting on your ability to drive a motor car, sufficiently. I don't have one drink. If I do, I do not drive. Simple as that. Why guess? Why, run the risk of being detected drink driving? You have one or two, or have I had 3 or 4? Make a simple decision. If you plan to drive, just don't drink.
And we've got 4 very dangerous days ahead, haven't we?
Well, this same time last year, Neil, we had 6 people killed and 300 people injured on our roads between now and Cup Day. Everyone needs to take care on our roads.
Bob Hill, thanks for coming in. Amanda, thank you too. I hope that you have a huge impact and we don't have any killed.
Yes, thanks, Neil. And just lastly, I'd just like to just convey that if anyone has been impacted by road trauma in any facet, to please contact the Road Trauma Support Services Victoria on 1300 367 797.
1300 367 797, and you actually speak there occasionally.
I do. I work with them amongst councils, educating others.
What's the worst thing about jail?
Oh, the worst thing, probably a lot of the clinical aspect, the people that are inside. In Victoria, there's no first-time section. So
you're dealing with hardened criminals?
I'm talking high-profile hardened criminals.
They give you any grief? Fortunately
not. No, fortunately, I was okay, but I wouldn't say that for everyone. Not everyone would find themselves okay, but I kept myself busy, and I was smart enough to keep myself working and put my head down, bum up, do my time, and with the objective of getting out, getting on with my life, rearing my son and educating others to the community that it can and will happen to you.
Well, I hope it makes a difference. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much, Neil.
Bob Hill and Amanda Pollard.